part. Okay. All right.
Yes, this is recording now. Okay. So, like I said, I just had a power outage, and
Yeah.
so the router went down, and off you went.
Yeah.
Um, but you're back,
Yeah.
and so what we were discussing was the quality that the stuff that we see on the internet is the stuff that's already there within the individual, but somehow or another things get magnified so that we bring our worst out
Mm-hmm.
on the internet.
Yeah.
And so if we could somehow make sure that when we're using the internet that we're mindful of what we're doing so that we don't make those kind of statements, then in whatever little world that you're in with your internet, it would be a whole lot easier on the eyes is for mindful posting.
Right.
But that mindfulness that we need actually is possibly the weakest when we read things on the internet and how did he like that? We lost it. He's gone. And so one of the ways of doing that is that if you remember that somebody sent a post that you don't like or that you feel compelled to answer, give it a rest.
Mm.
Go do something else. Get in touch with the fact of the feelings that you had that wanted to make you post.
Right.
In other words, cool off and simmer down. Go off and do something. Go get a cup of coffee or a drink of water, or go tell your friend how much you love them, or whatever like that, and then come back.
Right.
Or maybe better still, wait until tomorrow,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
or wait 2 days and then it's old news, and then what the heck? Why, just forget about it. And then there was never anything to do in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a bad habit of arguing with people on the internet, and I'm so glad that I don't do that anymore. Such a big waste of time. There's so many better things I could be doing with my time.
Let me ask you: did you ever convince anyone of anything ever?
No.
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 Did anyone ever convince you of anything?
No, it was so pointless. It was such a big waste of time.
Did you learn anything?
Um,
I learned not to do that stuff anymore. I
well,
mean,
yeah,
besides that one.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I learned that when you're having a conversation with somebody who you disagree with, the best way to have that conversation is to realign your priorities. So it's not about being right, it's about being open. It's about understanding.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem with the internet is being right. But that's the problem with people in their meditation. They want to do it right. They can't stop and wait long enough to actually enjoy what they're doing. They've got to get it right.
Right. Yes.
Isn't that amazing? And so that whole right attitude of getting it right is not really all of that noble a right attitude. Not based in real noble right view, trying to get it right.
Yeah, I relate to that.
Because because if you get it right, that's because you want some reward, like
Exactly.
credit for being right.
Exactly.
Wow, there's so little of that on the internet.
Now
Well,
I
you're
get to
not
put on
going
my
around
good
giving.
meditator hat because I'm doing it right.
Exactly. And my meditation is better than your meditation, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay, so we have to change then our frame of reference of being a victim to having to be right
Yeah.
into the lion who just assumes he already is, but he's open and he keeps looking.
Mm-hmm.
And he assumes that he's right because he's already been looking a whole lot.
Yeah. Not to mention it's right there in front of you if you just know how to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this is right view and right attitude, and it winds up being a winner's attitude and not a victim's. So
Mm.
when we want pity, we're wanting something we don't have. when we're massaging and encouraging the piti that we have by telling ourselves, this really is good. I can do this. That I can do this. That's an important, powerful tool to use.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because before getting into that state, I was thinking, oh, I can do this. Oh, this is great. And then I said, oh, I did it. What do I do next?
Stay there. Isn't this great? I can do this. Yeah. Look at it. Here it is. I just did it.
Yeah. Right.
So what do you do with any baby that's born? You feed it. You nurture it. You establish it. You keep it going and growing. So that's what you do with satisfaction. Right. You nourish it. You appreciate it. You guard it.
Right.
Keep it from danger. Keep it safe and secure. Your satisfaction is going to grow like a baby.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Metta Sutta where it says something to the effect of just as a mother would protect her child.
You read the same sutta I read, huh? Exactly. Another one is actually with a mother calf, a cow and her calf. That once the calf is born, it's tender, and so even though mom is going to go out eating grass, still she's going to have an eye on that baby calf, one eye, all the time. She's going to be watching out after that calf. Even if she's eating, she can do like that, but she's going to keep watching. Within a second or two, she's back to that calf. Right. Always keep coming back and keep coming back and watching and watching and watching for any danger anywhere. She's very protective of that calf, just like a human mom would be protective of their baby, except that out in the pasture, that's actually more dangerous. So this is even more close attention.
Right.
That cow is paying to make sure that calf is going to be okay.
Yeah.
So, exactly so. Just like for you, a little baby, your satisfaction now is a tender infant, and you want to guard it.
Right.
Give it good, wholesome food like metta. Give it good, wholesome food like a third noble truth. Right. Give it a good dose of reality, like this is how the mind works.
Yeah.
That's the way to practice. So is to stay in that joyful place. Because, right. After all, you're already an expert. You've already practiced all you need at feeling bad and not liking things. But now's the time to practice feeling really good.
Yeah.
So develop that. Become joyful, being satisfied. This is the path of the Buddha. And it has these two qualities that almost no other paths have. That one is that in combination. One is the quality of sati, to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep doing it over and over again. And don't let the mind wander away. And when it does, come back and keep coming back. That's the quality of sati. The other quality is the quality of joy. I can do this. This is successful.
Yeah.
You put those two things together and you've got a winning practice. And right. It does become easy, but the reason it is easy is when you're successful at it. And anything that you're successful at becomes easy. That's just the nature of things. Things that are hard are the things that we feel unsuccessful at.
Right, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's why meditation is so hard for many people.
Yeah.
Because they make it that way. That's their style. That's what they've been doing their whole lives. Making easy things hard rather than making hard things easy. And it's just a change of attitude. That's just so amazing to me now. This teaching of the Buddha needs to be put in a bottle and sold for a profit. And you know I'm joking now. Is it actually, if we could bottle it, let's give it away.
Yeah.
Let's take it to Congress and give the Senate 100 bottles of it.
Yeah.
But I guess some people would say, oh, they're just drunk on joy. Drunk on joy.
Good.
Yeah, I would think so. So, what are we going to do next?
What next?
Yeah, well, now, what are we going to do now? The next just came.
And now it's gone. Um,
You got any questions or anything that we need to talk about? Any more? Are you satisfied with what we've talked about?
yes.
Are you? That was
No,
a
I
trick
really am.
question, you know.
Do it.
Pardon?
I said this was a good talk.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
We'll
You
finish
answered
now.
my question in a way that I didn't quite anticipate. Because my question was, well, do I put my attention on the breath or do I put my attention on the joy? And the answer is, well, you're kind of missing the point. So,
But there's a lot to do. There's a lot to notice.
yeah,
Whatever comes up, that's what you notice.
right. And then be satisfied with it.
And be satisfied, right?
Be happy that you can see what the mind is doing. Got it.
And that you're going to be also happy to kick out the things that are going to keep you or make you dissatisfied. That's the key ingredient.
Right.
Don't allow thoughts that are going to make you dissatisfied.
Right.
But as far as that satisfaction, it's a broad area. But within that broad area would be the teachings of the Buddha in relationship to the here now, including anapanasati, looking at our feelings, looking at the way the mind works, making sure that we're getting enough oxygen and breathing. Do always make sure that you're taking a deep breath. While you're taking that deep breath, you can contemplate how good that deep breath feels.
Mm-hmm.
And as you relax on the out breath, you can experience how good that out breath feels right here, right now. This is a good one.
Right.
And so we work with the breathing, we work with the feelings, we work with the mind, we work the entire satipatthana. All of it can be done within a breath, within the time of a breath.
Right.
And so there's a lot to see. The mind is fast. In fact, the Buddha said in one of the sutras, the mind, O monks, is so fast, I don't even have an analogy for it.
That's funny because the Buddha had an analogy for everything.
He did, and many of them were just brilliant. But this was his analogy for the mind, that he doesn't even have one. And so in that regard, there's a lot of stuff happening in there, and your job is to pay attention to as much of it as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon you'll begin to see it coming into focus of kind of like a mosaic. And then it'll also become eventually after that a familiar path. Oh, I've been there, done that before.
Right.
And then everything becomes familiar. Because you really have seen it over and over and over again. And you're gaining that really, really deep satisfaction. And Shradha is the word that means contentment, or it's not faith. Shradha normally is translated into faith, but Shradha actually is confidence. The confidence that comes because you keep looking, you keep seeing. The more often you look, the more often you see, the more clear of an understanding that you have. It's almost like this. In the old days, they had discos, and one of the discos, one of the qualities of a disco was to have a revolving ball that had a whole bunch of mirrors pasted to it,
Right.
and that it had an effect like a strobe light. All right, but also disco can have a strobe light. But imagine that the strobe light is there, and you're standing and watching the things that happen in this disco, and every time the light comes on, you can see more, and then the
Hmm.
light goes off, and then light comes back on, and you can see the things that I saw before have moved just a little bit, and then actually you can begin to watch people dance when in fact you can't see them half the time.
Right.
You can begin to figure things out. The more often you do it, okay, so that's the way that we look at sati. Sati is like turning that strobe light on for just an instant, then it turns off, and then we get it on again, and then it goes off, and then it goes on, and now it stays a little, and then it goes off, and then
Mm.
it goes on a little bit more, and then there it goes.
Okay.
And so
Got
we
it.
keep practicing, keep turning that sati light on, keep watching.
Hmm.
And when you do get it on, make sure you keep it on. Don't let anything turn it off.
Right.
Now you've got it. This is the way to practice
Yeah.
without lusting after something you don't have, an experience or two, or a jhana or three or four.
Right. Right.
But just getting to a state of satisfaction so that we can see what's going on, see the anxiety, see the tension, see the worry, see the upsetness, see the if you can, see the conceit.
Hmm. Yeah.
See the fear, especially working with fear of death. And that oftentimes will take, let us say, a particular kind of opportunity, like watching autopsies on YouTube. I don't know if there's any. I still need to go look. So check out: are there autopsies on? Uh, Here's another thing: go take a pup tent and go spend the night in a cemetery.
Mm.
Or break into the morgue at the local hospital and spend a night in one of those racks. That's getting a little bit too much. Don't break into the morgue. Ask permission to go in.
Right.
But that was one of the interesting things. That was the quality of being a monk: is how many dead bodies have I seen?
Hmm. Hmm.
How
Right.
many funerals I've had? I don't know. Just so many.
Yeah.
In fact, on several of the drivers in Charlotte. We had so many funerals in Charlotte, and a lot of the monks don't want it. They want to stay together, be with their friends. They haven't seen them in a while, so I would crawl into the meat wagon, the hearse they call it, with the driver, because that's the tradition that when the body is moved. It's moved with a monk. A monk always accompanies the body up until the time that it's burned.
Hmm.
I became friends with several of those drivers. That's how many funerals I've got. It's like, oh, you again. So yeah, there was a lot of funerals, and I know that it did have the effect of really get in touch with death to know I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die.
Right.
I have seen so many things die. You wouldn't believe how many things I've seen die. And
Yeah.
this thing's going to die too. And when you get to that, when you really get to the point that it's okay that you're going to die, then you can be free of it. And more than that, once you're free of death, if you're free from the fear of death, what is worth being afraid of?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because being death is literally, or sorry, being afraid of death is literally being afraid of nothing.
Or nothingness.
Yeah.
Being afraid of losing control, afraid of going against that self preservation instinct. It's an instinct built into us.
Hmm.
So, in a way, by dealing with dead objects and having those fears that come up out of the mind, and you can be standing right there and say, "Never mind, I can deep breathe." You know, I don't. What? This is only a dead body. It's not going to snatch me in and put me in the coffin with it. Think about what you're doing. And pretty soon we work at, okay, things die. I will too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is the fearlessness. So in some cases, we actually have to put ourselves in harm's way, in a way, so that we can bring stuff up, so that we can take a look at it and get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a public performance.
Right.
Can you make a public performance and do it cheerfully and satisfied? Or are you going to go through all of the things they talk about, like butterflies in the stomach or panic or all of that, Because
Right.
that's the mark of a real star, is one who can come out on stage in front of 500 or 5,000 people and just enjoy himself.
Right. Right.
It's the child who is petrified.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another one. Where can we find our fearlessness? In success. That's where we find it. I can
Success
do this.
and compassion. There's an image that came to mind the other day, that when a child drops his popsicle and starts crying, you as an adult might know that dropping your popsicle is nothing to be upset about, but you can still give the child compassion. So how do you treat the child as parts of your own mind? Give them compassion, while also
Everything.
understanding that it's nothing really to be upset about.
Precisely so. Precisely so. In fact, you can give your mind another lollipop. Because that's what people normally do. That's their compassion, is give the kid another lollipop. Shut the kid up. Now, what do I mean by that? Oh, I will get another retry. I will get a do-over. I
Right.
will be reborn.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And so we give ourselves lollipops without actually recognizing, hey, kid, you lost your lollipop. I
Right.
can't get you another one. You sorry, you can. It's down there. It's gone. But you can be happy and satisfied without that lollipop. It wasn't that big a deal, now was it?
Right.
Well, that's the thing. That's actually giving people what you think they need out of compassion is really a kind of selfishness, because really what I want is my bad feelings to go away. So I'm going to give you what I think you need so that I can feel better. Shut you up.
Right.
That's what a lot of compassion is. We have to get beyond that. And the way that we do is by actually being there as the recipient
Be
and
present.
recognizing how they do feel.
Yeah. Which is so much easier when you have all the crap inside your own head cleared away, which is what I experienced the other day. It just, in the past, there have been situations where, I recognize that compassion is a skillful state, and so I try to be compassionate. But this wasn't like that. It was just happening because I wasn't fixated on my own
Exactly.
neuroticness.
But here's something that you have to get. And that is that experience that happened was set up. How is it set up? By your practicing the compassion, and now it came out skillfully as a skill,
Right.
spontaneously when it was needed.
Mm-hmm.
Mindfully, it popped up. Here it is. So your practice sessions were paying off.
Yeah, they
Don't
really
see a
were.
dichotomy, right? See, this is a unit. This is a package. This is a sequence of events. This is, in fact, an algorithm.
Right.
And that's how we practice. We practice skillfully, and then all of a sudden, those skills pop up at the most opportune time, and we're surprised.
Yeah.
And now, when I say it like that, you say, okay, I can do this.
Right.
You could see it. You could do it. You know that you're becoming successful at it. That's what the practice is really all about, is that feeling of, I can do this. I'm successful at it. I can
Yeah.
become satisfied. I can be compassionate.
Yeah.
I don't have to just work on being compassionate. I can actually do it. And here it is, full evidence.
Right.
So congratulations. You need an attaboy for that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's finish this off. I think we've gotten to a point that is quite satisfying now.
Me too.
All right, Dylan, I hope to see you again soon.
All right. Call you soon. Thanks for the talk.
Yeah, bye bye.
Bye bye.